And welcome to Weather and Ag in Focus. I'm Chief Meteorologist Dean Wysocki, along with our meteorologist extraordinaire, Justin Storm, and our wonderful, talented Ag Director, Bridget Riedel. Good afternoon, everyone. How are you guys doing today?
Hey, doing well. Yourself, Dean?
Doing good. Had a great weekend. Bridget, did you get out and stay anchored onto the Earth's surface over the weekend? Holy cow, was it windy.
Got a little rough out there, but good news, the wind has died down and the temperatures are, should we say, moderate for this time of the year? Would that be a fair statement, guys?
Yeah, very pleasant. I mean, we've got a great week of weather. Now, Bridget, I know you're going to start throwing stuff. Like, good thing you don't have a brick to be throwing. We are going to...
She's not in the studio, you're going to say?
I know, right? She'd have like a foam brick thrown at me. We do have a very good chance of seeing our first widespread frost in some areas. Probably going to get a freeze out of this in the northern valley, but I think we'll see our first widespread frost of the season come Wednesday morning, it looks like. So, yeah, it's kind of that time of the year, but we're hoping to hold this off until, October 9th or 10th?
Mm-hmm.
Would have been nice. I don't think we're going to see that, as you said. Now, what does that do for us for grain? First of all, a lot of our grains off. In fact, I think if we haven't wrapped up durum or small grains harvest, it will pretty quickly here in the north central part of the state. If you had green soybeans, this will probably kill them and they'll be ready to combine hopefully eventually. It's also going to help the corn dry down. Sugar beet harvest, if we get too cold at night, we'll get shutdowns for cold. If we get too warm during the day, we'll get shutdowns for heat. I think our temperatures during the day will be moderate enough that that won't happen. But yes, we do have to pay attention that those shutdowns for cold weather at night could hold us off in finishing up on our 24-hour shifts. But overall, things are going okay.
What's the cutoff for the heat, Bridget, for sugar beets?
Usually once you start getting well over 80 degrees,
Okay.
I can look that up here for us too, but once we start getting those warmer temperatures where beets themselves are warm and when they get brought into the plant and put on the pile, if they were to be too warm and decompose and generate their own heat, it won't just be that beet that would rot, it would take out a larger portion of the pile, and that's an overall loss of profit for the sugar beet growers cooperative. So we want to make sure that we keep an eye on our temperatures for the next few days.
Yeah, it didn't look like any 80s, but we do warm up into the 70s by the end of the week, and a pretty dry-looking forecast as well. So not a lot of precip to really talk about until possibly next weekend. So, yeah, all in all, not a bad-looking forecast. We've got a huge hurricane. It's only a Cat 1 right now, brewing down south of Cuba. That's going to affect areas of the Gulf Coast and the southeast. We'll talk more about that later. And what is the rest of let's say the next couple of weeks? What does it look like around here? Any big does it matter once we've had our first frost? What if we don't have that freeze? Is that going to play an impact on agriculture and harvesting as well? So we'll kind of touch on that, and we've got a great guest coming on today, Pecos Hank. We'll have more on that. If you want to get your questions lined up, 701-293-9000. That's 701-293-9000, or you can email us weather@flagfamily.com or ag@flagfamily.com. Right now, we're going to throw it to ABC News for a bit. Stay with us. We'll have more weather and ag and our special guest coming up in about 10 minutes or so. Right now, we'll take a quick look at ABC News.
From ABC News, I'm Dave Packer. Ian, now a hurricane, is expected to soak up warm Gulf of Mexico water today and become a major hurricane by tonight. ABC's Brian Clark and how folks along Florida's west coast are preparing.
On its current path, Hurricane Ian would approach Florida's west coast on Wednesday. In the Tampa Bay area, Hillsborough County Administrator Bonnie Wise says
the big issue is going to be the storm surge. We think that it could be, 15, 20 feet.
There are storm surge and hurricane watches in effect for that area. Emergency Management Chief Tim Dudley says,
be prepared now. Take a look at your plans, know where you're going to go, and how to keep your family safe.
Hurricane warnings are now in effect for Grand Cayman and parts of western Cuba. Brian Clark, ABC News.
A school shooting in central Russia leaving 15 dead, both children and adults killed. Authorities there saying the now dead gunman was wearing a Nazi symbol on his T-shirt. And in Russia, Putin's draft isn't going down well with those who might be sent to Ukraine's front lines. A recruiter shot at an enlistment station. Other enlistment stations set on fire, say reports.
Human rights activists say Russian authorities have arrested more than 2,000 protesters. Meanwhile, Russia is pushing ahead with what have been described as sham referenda in Russian-controlled areas of eastern Ukraine, aimed at formally annexing those areas, making them Russian territory, which could allow the Kremlin to claim Russia itself is coming under attack from Ukrainian and American weapons.
ABC's Ike Ajachi. The search continues in Philadelphia for a lone gunman who police say killed a random person on the street. The victim, 23-year-old Everett Beauregard, was a recent Temple grad.
Police are now offering a $20,000 reward in this case in what they say was likely a random act of violence.
ABC's Trevor Ault. Italy's about to get its first far-right-led government since World War II. Giorgia Meloni once told an interviewer she thought Mussolini was a good politician. She's now set to become Italy's first female prime minister. You're listening to ABC News.
Do you know what people see when they Google you? Search engines don't always get it right. And when they're wrong, it's your reputation on the line. So what do you do when you don't agree with your search results? Call Reputation Defender at 800-401-6681. Reputation Defender by Norton is one of the most trusted names in online reputation repair. We have over a decade of experience in fixing people's search results, and we can help you too. Using cutting-edge approaches, Reputation Defender pushes unflattering information down to lower pages of your search results, where few people ever look. We also promote the good stuff so that it rises to the top, letting you put your best foot forward. Your good name is too valuable to leave to the whims of a Google algorithm. You owe it to yourself to take control with Reputation Defender. Visit www.reputationdefender.com or call 800-401-6681 for free advice on your situation. 800-401-6681.
Do you love working on cars but don't love your current job? If so, we need to talk. Hi, I'm Matthew Carlson, owner of Fix It Forward Auto Care. We're a family-owned full-service auto repair shop looking to hire skilled automotive technicians. With our state-of-the-art shops, great work environment with competitive pay and benefits, you'll enjoy a great job with a bigger purpose and a lot of opportunity for advancement. Visit FixItForwardAutoCare.com to apply. Fix It Forward Auto Care, the name you trust for car repair.
Fix It Forward Auto Care.
Save now on premium mattresses, pillows, bases, and linens at Accord Comfort Sleep Systems directly across from Olive Garden. Find the best mattress design and construction with our exclusive technologies such as our Accord Comfort Reflex Layer, ensuring proper spinal alignment. Our Thermodyne climate control fabric is perfect for the couple sleeping hot and cold. Buy today and take it home today, or free delivery in the FM metro area. Accord Comfort Sleep Systems. You're going to love sleeping with us.
From the North Dakota's for Comprehensive Energy Solutions studios in Fargo, it's WDAY Midday, your best source for news, weather, and agriculture. Your daily afternoon focus on weather and agriculture starts now.
Hello and welcome to WDAY Weather and Ag in Focus. I'm Bridget Riedel, Ag Director, along with Chief Meteorologist Dean Wysocki and Meteorologist Extraordinaire Justin Storm. Thrilled that you are listening with us today. So glad you can join us. And as you think of questions or comments, you can reach us at 701-293-9000, which brings me to just one great item. Our dedicated listener, Chad, who deals regularly with sugar beets, mentioned, hey, when we're thinking about what the cutoff temperature might be for cold weather, etc., when we're harvesting sugar beets, he said, keep in mind, the cutoff is a 1/4 inch of frost into the beet crown, and they're looking for to stay above a 65-degree root temp. I hope that makes sense. Those are the notes that Chad sent me. I like it when those who are experts, whereas I'm just a generalist, can call in and give us a few more details. So thanks to Chad. He follows us on Twitter as well, so he's paying attention to us there. Now, how about a little bit more on the weather before we get to our weather guest today, which ought to be a great interview, gentlemen. What do you got to share?
Well, do you want to take that question, Justin, that we just got handed to us from one of our is David on the line? Okay, we've got David on the line. He wants to ask a couple questions on the LRC. Go ahead, David. What's your question?
Yeah, how are you? Looking at these projections for climate change, I'm wondering about if you think about, the northern Midwest as being a huge aquifer, and the heating up of that aquifer I'm wondering about evaporation. If climate change is real and the upper Midwest is going to become hotter, how much of the upper Midwest is going to basically dry out? I've been kind of looking at the idea that there have been, trees and tall grasses for a millennium, and then all of a sudden they're not there. Those used to be the insulation for the water. And so now if everybody's doing, single crop planting and doing cattle ranching, then that means that there's very little insulation for the ground, and how much of the ground is going to be drying out?
Hang on a second, David. I don't know that I can quite say that that's the same methodology, just in the fact that when you think about ranching and what they're doing, number one, they've got that long prairie grass on there, or they are putting on the appropriate cooler warm season grass depending on where they're at. Additionally, when we see the aquifers, those are probably in heavier irrigation areas where they probably have less tillage. But if I'm going to think about our region specifically, we are looking at using more tillage practices that include cover crops where applicable, where they make the most sense depending on our soil types, etc. Do we know that the aquifers are being used? Yes. Do we know that there is a cycle in weather as far as how much moisture we will or won't have? Yes. Do we know all those details yet? We might not. But I do think that at this point we want to look favorably at the fact that all of the changes that we have made over the last 40 years in our tillage practices, even in what we've done in the last 20, are better conservation practices, not only for moisture, but some of the soil health initiatives that we're trying to focus on as well. So we appreciate that question.
Yeah,
that's
thanks,
very
David.
good.
Very good question. And according to the LRC, again, every year is different, and, the LRC is the main puzzle piece, and we have other things that are going on with La Nina, El Nino, you name it, but the LRC is the puzzle piece of these weather patterns that are cycling, and it'll be interesting to see how this sets up this year. Again, with the La Nina kind of dwindling at the start of next year, typically La Nina is a cold but dry pattern like we had 2 years ago, but with the LRC last year, as the storm system blasted the northern tier of the U.S., we knew it was going to be a snowy winter, and that's how it panned out. And we'll see what happens starting here in about 10 days with the new LRC pattern setting up. So thanks again, Dave, for your call. Appreciate it.
Yeah, it was, and we're going to have to head into our next intermission, so we'll touch on the forecast across the area as well as nationally when we come back in our last segment of the show. But we're going to get Pecos Hank all connected with us, and for those of you who don't know who Pecos Hank is, well, if you watch any storm videos on YouTube, you've more than likely watched one of his videos, or you know who he is. He's a half musician, half filmmaker, documenting severe weather since 1994, witnessing all sorts of phenomenal weather across the United States, some of the most dangerous storms that have ever hit the United States, including the widest tornado ever, the fastest tornado ever, and he's also made a few recent discoveries as early as 2019 with a new TLE, which we sometimes refer to as sprites, an electrical discharge into the stratosphere that he's coined Green Go. So we're going to get Pecos Hank joined up with us here, and when we come back, we'll start that conversation, so stay tuned.
Tyler's Tree Service, we create different types of wood products such as live edge slabs, beams, posts, and dimensional lumber. We also custom mill wood for your creativity. To learn more, go to tylerscut.com. At Tyler's Tree Service, there is no stick left behind.
Why High Plains Apache? Well, there are so many reasons it's why High Plains Apache. Ask your neighbors about their sales and service or new and used deals on sprayers, the parts and service department, and yes, a very well-respected sales department. Everything you'll need to get started this season with the sprayers for your operation. You'll find out a lot more at the website, High Plains Apache Sprayers. You'll find them at highplainsapache.com. That's highplainsapache.com.
The landscape of media has changed, and people are more skeptical than ever about where they get their news and information. While major news outlets show decreasing credibility, your local farm radio station still shows strong marks. In a recent survey, farmers rated information from their farm broadcasters as almost twice as reliable as major news outlets. Farm radio continues to be transparent, honest, and trustworthy. This message brought to you by the National Association of Farm Broadcasting.
The possibility of lung cancer can be pretty scary, especially if you're one of approximately 8 million current or former smokers at high risk. That's why SaveByTheScan.org wants you to know that now there's a breakthrough low-dose CT scan that can detect lung cancer early, and it only takes 60 seconds. You stop smoking, now start screening. For an easy quiz to see if you're eligible, visit SaveByTheScan.org. It could save your life. SaveByTheScan.org is brought to you by the American Lung Association's Lung Force Initiative and the Ad Council.
Do you wonder why so many young people are identifying as transgender? Are you concerned with how this movement is impacting the next generation and our country? Do you want to engage on the transgender topic but aren't sure where to begin or what to say? If you want answers to these questions and more, go to ndcan.org, ndcan.org right now, and join us in Bismarck on October 15th for North Dakota's first conference on gender. Become inspired and empowered to weigh in on the most significant cultural and political issue of our time. You'll hear from expert speakers such as Epic Times journalist Alex Newman, author of Crimes of the Educators, and former transgender Walt Heyer, who's been featured on Laura Ingraham, Glenn Beck, and Candace Owens. There is limited seating for this event, so go right now to ndcan.org. Again, that's ndcan.org to reserve your tickets today.
Tyler's Tree Service, we create different types of wood products such as live edge slabs, beams, posts, and dimensional lumber. We also custom mill wood for your creativity. To learn more, go to tylerscut.com. At Tyler's Tree Service, there is no stick left behind.
And welcome back to Weather and Ag in Focus. Thanks for joining us this afternoon. I'm meteorologist Justin Storm. I'm here with Chief Meteorologist Dean Wysocki and Ag Director Bridget Riedel, and we thank you for joining us today. If you'd like to reach out to us and join our conversation or ask any questions for our amazing guests who I'll introduce here in just a moment, write down this phone number. You can call into our studios live, 701-293-9000. Again, that's 701-293-9000, or you can always send those weather or ag-related topics or questions via email to weatherorag@flagfamily.com. You can also find us on Facebook at Weather and Ag in Focus. Now, I'd like to introduce our guest for today, and I'm very excited to be able to introduce Pecos Hank. And Hank has been chasing storms since 1994, where he witnessed his first tornado in 2002, documented the widest tornado ever in 2013, and the year after, the fastest moving tornado ever, and in 2019 discovered a new TLE called a green ghost, which we'll talk about that here coming up here in just a moment. Hank has footage that has aired all over the world and many stations and clients, including BBC Earth, Nat Geo, Disney, the Weather Channel, and so many more, as well as a few motion pictures. Hank, thank you very much for joining us today here on Weather and Ag in Focus. How's your day going?
Justin, Dean, Bridget, it's great to see you guys. Thanks for having me on. I'm doing great. I just found out this was a video call, so I had to put makeup on.
You're a step ahead of me then, Hank. Thanks.
So Hank, you've been doing this for quite a few years, and what got you interested in starting this up?
Just love of all things earth sciences, love of nature, the beauty of thunderstorms. For example, there's a hurricane that might hit Florida, right? I don't care. Like, I don't want to see it. I don't generally think hurricanes are beautiful, so I don't go after them. If I could be in the eye wall, that would be amazing. Or not the eye wall, but inside the eye, that would be amazing. But just all the wind, stuff like that, I see that as more damaging. I like the beautiful stuff, you know, the supercell structures, the lightning, and of course some tornadoes, as we know, can be beautiful unless they're demolishing one of our little towns or cities.
Right. Now, do you have any type of weather background, or you're just a weather enthusiast and you love going out getting videos and pictures of all this?
Yes, I play the guitar.
Awesome. We heard you have a real good band, so.
Yeah, I was studying biology at University of Houston, and my junior year I quit to be a rock star and was touring and doing the whole band touring thing, and then the storm chasing thing kind of took over. Being a musician allowed me the freedom to make my own schedules to storm chase. Because as you guys know, it's not easy to, if there's a moderate out, risk for storms that you have that day off.
Mm-hmm. Now, Pecos, I wanted to know because I've heard that there's a story behind how you got the name Pecos Hank. Do you have that story? Would you be willing to share that with us?
Yeah, a friend of mine, I love like reptiles. I love rattlesnakes.
Mm-hmm.
Like talking to them and snuggling with them. And one of my friends from Belgium, she cut out a picture of my face and stuck it on Pecos Bill, which, as everybody knows, took a rattlesnake and lassoed a tornado and tamed it down to either a wind or a little whirlwind, or he rode it into heaven, depending on which myth you believe. I think I believe the rode it off to heaven myth. So anyway, she pasted my head on his body, and I think Pecos Hank, she called me that, and that happened.
That's awesome.
That's a great story.
Now, Hank, so you've documented the fastest tornado, which I believe that was the one in Pilger, Nebraska, correct?
Right.
Okay. I was actually working in Nebraska when that was taking place. That was an amazing event. And then what was the widest tornado? You've documented the widest tornado as well.
Yeah, the widest tornado we currently have on record is El Reno 2013, May 31st, 2013. And then my team, the scientific team that I work for a couple weeks of the year, headed by Dr. Anton Simon, we did some calculations based on Skip Talbot's initial calculations that he did in 2014 of that Pilger rope that was just flying. And he calculated it back then to be 90 miles per hour. And so we just Dr. Anton was able to find the scar that it left on the earth afterwards. And so we were able to get really precise calculations using photogrammetry from several different photographers that were there on the day. Me, Jennifer Brindley, Skip Talbot, and a couple other guys. And we calculated the tornado to be moving at 94 about miles per hour for only like 5 or 6 seconds. So it was being slingshotted past the developing Wakefield tornado. So, there might be, like that derecho that came through Minnesota and Iowa. There could have been some faster tornadoes in that, but, how strong were they? How long of a duration were they going? So right now we just have those calculations as the fastest calculated. I know Skip is working on a paper and Dr. Anton are working on a paper to publish that, but I guess that's up for the meteorologists to decide if it is officially the fastest tornado.
So, Hank, you said something interesting in the fact that you spend a couple of weeks where you're set up working for this scientific group. Do you then take that time to position yourself specifically within Tornado Alley or somewhere else so that you're there to catch them at the right time? Or how does that timing work?
So with we feel like early June is a good time to do our team. It's a 3-vehicle team, and we do kind of a dragnet. In order to get our photogrammetry, we kind of need to be close to the tornado. There has to be debris, and we all need to be at the right angles. So late June, once the crowds kind of die out, because after May 31st, the storm chaser in the alley is cut in half as far as how many people are there. So we kind of start then, and we try to position in the path in Tornado Alley of a significant tornado. And if we can get the debris triangulated from the few different vehicles, then Dr. Anton has the software and the computer software to make some calculations. Because when we're slicing radar, right, we're only getting the planal view, and we're seeing the velocity. Of course, with some of the radar beams have 2 slices at the same time, but there's that vertical component. So maybe these tornadoes, when you see some of those vertical components, just the tornado, the debris just going straight up, these tornadoes may have faster velocities than we suspect.
That's awesome. I had never thought about it in
really
those
awesome.
terms. Okay.
Speaking
Dr.
of with some of the
Anton can
tornadoes,
do a much better explanation than I can, of course.
Well, with some of these tornadoes, I mean, we've watched a lot of your footage that's on YouTube, and by the way, congratulations of just surpassing 1 million subscribers on your channel. What are some of the craziest stories that you've been encountered with these tornadoes? I mean, I've seen a couple where there's this tornado going through a town and it's taken out a building on the other side of the intersection that you're stuck at.
Yeah, that to me wasn't as, I mean, I think like the Pilger was an incredible event. Obviously the freak shows, the fringe cases like El Reno 2013 are just fringe cases. Sometimes when things are happening like that, you're so focused on being safe in your dumb close positioning, if you don't mind the innuendo, but it's a lot of times it's hard for you to process what's really happening until afterwards you go back and it all kind of comes in. I can remember when El Reno 2013 happening, I knew something was weird and I was filming it, but my brain didn't quite process that the whole storm, the whole thing was a tornado. I was seeing these sub-vortices, but I was still shooting it. And I think my subconscious kind of knew, this whole thing is a tornado. And then afterwards you get home, you're like, wow, that whole thing was a tornado. So I think the fringe cases, to answer your question, Pilger, El Reno 2013, and I could probably go on, but those are the ones that really stick out.
Right. Well, we're going to hit bottom of the hour here really quick. Pecos, please stay on the line with us. We'll be back here in just a couple minutes. If you would like to join in on our conversation, ask any questions for us or for Pecos Hank, feel free to give us a call at 701-293-9000. Again, that phone number is 701-293-9000. When we come back, we're going to talk a little bit more about tornadoes. And, well, I think a lot of people are interested to know, what are these TLEs and what is this new discovery that you helped find, Hank? So we'll get that answered and so much more when we come back.
Family Dollar has more for Halloween. Find everything for the perfect celebration, from costume accessories to spooky decorations, paper, and plasticware. And don't miss our variety of candy from your favorite brands. Family Dollar, helping you do more.
Insulate and fill gaps in your home with Menard's wide selection of foam sealants. Great stuff gaps and cracks, expands to form permanent, weather-tight seals to minimize drafts and insect infestation. It bonds to wood, drywall, metal, masonry, glass, and most plastics. Come into Menard's today and save 11% on great stuff. Foam sealants. Good through October 2nd. Savings are a mail-in rebate. Some exclusions apply. See store for details.
Save big money at Menards.
Get more than just a great deal. Get the Luther Advantage. Every pre-owned vehicle comes with a 60-day, 2,500-mile warranty. Every pre-owned vehicle comes with a 5-day, 500-mile return policy. Use your Luther Advantage card and save on gas, or even a car wash at any Holiday Station store. Get the Luther Advantage at Luther Family Buick GMC, corner of I-29 and 32nd Avenue South in Fargo.
I'm Emma, and if I had it my way, I would be the only one on the road. I could drive at my own speed and not worry about stopping on the gravel road or seeing around the tall corn at the intersections. But I am not the only one on the roads. And I know that more crashes happen during harvest season involving farm equipment than any other season, so I'm going to slow down, pay attention, wear my seatbelt, and be patient. This message is brought to you by the Barnesville FFA and Minnesota Towards Zero Deaths.
There's another way to minimize your farm's risk and protect its equity with margin protection coverage. This is Bethany Rentz, crop insurance agent with IRE Insurance. Margin protection provides coverage against an unexpected decrease or increase in operating margin. In other words, we can put a policy in place to protect you from changing input costs and crop prices on your farm. Let us help you explore this option between now and September 30th to get you covered. For more information, go to IREINS.com.
You're protected and appreciated at IRE.
Harvest season is a busy one in the Red River Valley, with farmers working on harvesting their crops and with kids back in school. Cass County Farm Bureau would like to remind you to take extra time to ensure everyone stays safe, whether working on harvest or transporting kids to or from school. Keep alert so no one gets hurt. Supporting safety on the air because they care. From your friends at Cass County Farm Bureau.
Do you suffer from stiff, achy, chronic knee pain? Have you been told you have arthritis? Is knee pain keeping you from enjoying your favorite hobbies? If so, the next 60 seconds could change your life. Please listen carefully. If we find you're a candidate for our unique approach, we'll do a trial treatment, and day one, you will know without a doubt if we can help you. Pick up the phone right now and call 701-353-2230. And best of all, we may be able to reduce and even eliminate your knee pain without pills, shots, or surgery. But due to limited capacity, you must call now at 701-353-2230. Hurry, call now to find out if you qualify for our program that is changing lives and helping people save time, money, and agony. Call now at 701-353-2230. You have nothing to lose, so call right now.
Family Dollar has more for Halloween. Find everything for the perfect celebration, from costume accessories to spooky decorations, paper, and plasticware. And don't miss our variety of candy from your favorite brands. Family Dollar, helping you do more.
And welcome back to Weather and Ag in Focus. I'm Chief Meteorologist Dean Wysocki, alongside meteorologist extraordinaire Justin Storm and our wonderful, talented Ag Director Bridget Riedel, and our special guest today, Pecos Hank. If you have any questions, shoot us a call, 701-293-9000. That's 701-293-9000. And I'll tell you what, if you have not seen Pecos Hank's videos, and just, it's amazing. You can find them on YouTube. And Pecos, so what is, I know you said the Pilger tornado, El Reno, those are two of the most significant events that really stand out. In terms of video or pictures that you've gotten, is there one that really stands above those two where I can't believe I just got this video? This is just absolutely amazing.
Yeah, that's a great question, because every year it does it again. I remember when I got shot of 14 upward leaders coming up from the turbines one time in Dodge City. Of course, the giant jellyfish Sprite are fascinating. The twin tornadoes, the triplets here, like the Dodge City 2016 event where you had 3 tornadoes on the ground. And this was a long-lived cyclic supercell that was just dropping tornado after tornado. And then recently I got something that I'm not allowed to discuss until December 3rd, but it might be one of the greatest captures I've ever caught.
Awesome.
Okay.
Well, we're going to have to come back to that.
Yeah, we're coming back to that, number one. Number two, it is very rarely that someone renders me speechless, because I just keep sitting here listening and thinking of all the things I want to ask. How long have you been doing this, Hank? How long have you been tracking all this stuff down?
I mean, as long as I remember as a kid, just with my little 110 film camera, trying to get the secondary flashes, the return strokes of lightning, and getting those and being excited. As soon as I got my car, I was driving out into, East Texas, and then West Texas, and then Arizona, just trying to document lightning. And then, of course, that ultimately leads you to the mother of all game, as I say, tornadoes.
And Bridget, you had another question for him, right?
Well, I do, but I feel like if I start, I'm not going to shut up. So, okay, next thing. As close as you have been to some of these storms, has there ever gotten a time where you said, this got a little too close, I'm perhaps a little bit nervous and should back off?
Yeah, it's got to stop. Like the near-death experiences have got to stop, and it's always some stupid bonehead error. I just did a video where I remember one time I was chasing which you shouldn't even really be chasing, a rain-wrapped wedge.
Oh.
Why do we even chase those?
Oh.
It's like, if you get it, you're a hero for 30 minutes. But the video's so bad, it's just forgotten afterwards. That's to quote Skip Talbot. But I guess we spend all this money and all this effort to get out there, and when that opportunity comes, you get caught up in it, and you just get lured in. And so one time I was chasing a tornado in Canadian Texas, and my GPS got skewed, And so I thought I was going due north, but the road was just taking me directly into the tornado. And I was in a little ravine, and I didn't know it, so I came up on the hill. And so it's dumb things like that. If you're going to get close to tornadoes and do what guys like me and Aaron Rigsby and Reed Timmer do, I mean, you're rolling the dice, and we're all aware of that. But I'm trying to back off, I've been good for the last 2 years. My last near-death experience was 2019, and since then, I've backed off. But I used to average one a year, seriously, and now I'm hoping to bring that average down.
Is this when we make the disclaimer, professionals only, let's not all run out there and try to do these things?
Yeah, I think it's when we make the disclaimer, don't get caught up. I don't care how careful you try to be and how many, I tell my wife all the time, I'm not going to do that, and I'm not going to do that anymore. And then I do it. It's like you just get so caught up in the majesty. I'm not in it for the adrenaline.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want adrenaline. Like, it's so much nicer to observe a tornado that you're safe from, that you can just really focus on what it's doing than the crazy adrenaline. That can ruin the experience of a tornado. Who wants to go to the Grand Canyon and have somebody just screaming and yelling? It's like you just want to soak it in, right?
Right.
Some of us anyway.
Well, Dean, some people. Dean, do you got another one before I switch the subject off of tornadoes to something else?
You go, buddy. I know where you're going with it. Go ahead.
All right. Well, Hank, I want to talk about these TLEs and this new discovery that you made. And I forget who you were working with, so I'm sure you'll explain who that was. But what is a TLE?
A TLE is a transient luminous event, which are these large-scale electrical discharges that happen above thunderstorms. They were mathematically predicted, I think, a century ago, but they weren't officially proven until by accident. In 1989, when a guy from Minnesota was trying out a high-resolution camera at night and accidentally got a couple what we now call red sprites or jellyfish sprites. And so then after that, we discovered blue jets, which are these blue jets of bolts of lightning that shoot straight up out of the tops of thunderstorms. And so they happen above the tropopause, above the thunderstorms. And I've always wanted to document them, and I've been working with Paul Smith, who's a nighttime photographer. He started off with auroras, and he's probably the greatest TLE capturer in the world. I'm biased because he's a good friend of mine. But he and I have been working with some other companies, forecasting these things, especially the gigantic jets, the blue jets. So to back up, there's just a whole zoo of these crazy, colorful light. It's not lightning. It's more like auroras caused by lightning underneath the thunderstorm. And even that's kind of a butcher of the definition to keep it short. But there's some of them are magenta, some of them are red. And he and I discovered a new one, and it's green. And so after a giant red sprite, you see this, a second of an aurora that just kind of dissipates. And so we've coined them green ghosts, and it's kind of an acronym for green oxygen or green emissions of oxygen in sprite tops. And that keeps in theme with sprites, elves, trolls, the other TLEs in this zoological family.
Right, and I remember watching that video when I was still an undergrad up at the University of North Dakota just a few years ago, and it just blew me away because I've always been fascinated by sprites. Have yet to see one, haven't gone too far out looking for them, but just absolutely fascinating. And what is like the main cause of these? I believe in your video you did a little explanation on kind of what happens, and it's not just one ordinary cloud to ground lightning strike. It's like a really big, powerful one, and what it ends up doing is flipping the charge on the top of the thunderstorm, and it ends up discharging into the stratosphere. Is that correct?
You just said it. Yeah, I don't have to say anything. I could repeat that, but sounds like that video we did worked.
Yeah, it definitely did, and I know that a lot of or no, keep going.
Yeah, so the most powerful flashes, cloud to ground flashes generally, are positive. So like 99% of these positive lightning flashes will cause are the parent flash that also triggers these red sprites, if you will. Sometimes you can have a really powerful negative cloud to ground strike that will also be connected with a red sprite. So it's this whole process when you get this massive lightning flashes, and it's just so powerful that it flips the charges in the top of the thunderstorm, and then there's another layer, the ionosphere in the upper atmosphere, that's generally, and it creates this imbalance, and so you get another electrical discharge above the thunderstorm.
Right, and when you were documenting this, I mean, I don't think you guys were really necessarily looking for what you ended up coining as a green ghost. You were trying to photography of the sprites. What was that initial feeling when you saw that first powdery glimpse of green above those sprites?
Oh man, I knew. Well, you can't really see that with the naked eye. It's the high. You can see the sprites and you can see the jets, and you could probably see a ghost in really, but they're much dimmer. So the camera, the sensitive camera, light sensitive camera caught it. And kind of like auroras, when you see these auroras, as you guys have seen in Minnesota, a lot of times you can barely see that green glow, but of course when the pictures come back, it's like this green craziness that lights up the whole sky, which happens at times. The green ghosts are like that. They're very faint auroras. And I saw it on video and knew exactly that this is something. Has it been documented before? I made the mistake one time when I saw the 14 upward leaders. I'd never heard of that. I'd never seen it. And they were simultaneous because they were close together. And I thought I discovered something. And I kind of threw that out to ferret. And of course, the scientists came back and said, "No, dude, we've been talking about this for 10 years. Here's the papers on it." So I want to make sure I didn't do that again. And we posted some pictures and we posted the events. And turns out nobody had ever heard of it, had thought of it. And even better, a lot of people were skeptical about it. And so we thought maybe we're seeing something, maybe we're biased, and it turns out we weren't. Other people are now getting green ghosts.
Oh,
okay,
awesome.
Why are they ghosts and sprites and trolls? Who named that? I'm trying to find that.
So the first one,
just tell me, Hank.
The first one was a sprite because of their spirit-like nature. They're these dim flashes. They have this beautiful ethereal look to them. So the first one, whoever called it a sprite. Then they started, as we started discovering more, elves, trolls. That theme kind of caught on, and we wanted to stick with that theme. And we even came up with a sort of a loosely based acronym, if our hypothesis is correct, or I should say Paul Smith's hypothesis. We're pretty sure it is the oxygen that's exciting or glowing that's what's causing these green ghosts, but who knows, we could be wrong.
That's amazing. Hank, can you hang on with us for one more segment? Do you have time?
Heck yeah.
Awesome. I'll tell you, we could go another half hour to an hour with you, without a doubt. If you have any questions for Pecos, Hank, or us, give us a call, 701-293-9000, or email us, weather@flagfamily.com. We'll take a short little recess here, and then we'll be right back.
Terry, so talk about doing business with DJ Coulter and American Family Insurance.
DJ is one of those insurance agents that's always going to be there for you. And he's always got great advice for a young family starting out, for an old family. We've got all our cars through DJ, our RVs and our boats. We took out a couple cash value life insurance policies, wanted to do long-term after we retire. DJ helped us through the steps on that.
DJ Coulter, American Family Insurance, 235-6641, djcoulter.com.
Pucklet Chevrolet's tradition of giving back to our community remains a priority, and that's why we've partnered with many local nonprofit organizations and events. Our tradition of giving this community a fair and honest offer continues during Chevy truck season, as you'll get a $1,000 accessory allowance on all new 22 and 23 LD or HD Chevy trucks. New trucks are arriving daily at Pucklet Chevrolet Buick GMC in Valley City.
See dealer for details. Offer ends 10/3/22.
Do you wonder why so many young people are identifying as transgender? Are you concerned with how this movement is impacting the next generation and our country? Do you want to engage on the transgender topic but aren't sure where to begin or what to say? If you want answers to these questions and more, go to ndcan.org, ndcan.org right now, and join us in Bismarck on October 15th for North Dakota's first Conference on Gender. Become inspired and empowered to weigh in on the most significant cultural and political issue of our time. You will hear from expert speakers such as Epoch Times journalist Alex Newman, author of Crimes of the Educators, and former transgender Walt Heyer, who has been featured on Laura Ingraham, Glenn Beck, and Candace Owens. There is limited seating for this event, so right now go to ndcan.org. Again, that is ndcan.org to reserve your tickets today.
It was a risk-off day in the markets. For the American Ag Network, I'm Richard Risvet with this closing market. Looking at the commodity, equity, and energy futures boards today showed a sea of red numbers. The bearish recession and global economic slowdown had sellers jumping in today. Wheat led the grains lower for most of the day. This morning, they did show signs of a little positivity. However, that quickly turned lower, and they have been weak all day long. Some headwinds that moved against the commodities today were a very strong U.S. dollar index, which surged to 20-year highs, and that's as the British pound broke to new record lows. The Japanese yen consolidated near record low levels, and both the euro and the yuan continued to trend weaker. Now, the strong dollar isn't a reflection of economic strength, but that our problems are not as bad as those in other major currencies, and the Federal Reserve is taking interest rates higher at a faster pace than other central banks. Now, none of them want to be raising rates right now, but they must aggressively do so to get inflation under control after stimulus programs got out of control during the pandemic. The strong dollar, which is usually used as a safe haven asset by global traders, is a reflection of the global economic concerns haunting the markets. Traders remained wary of building large ownership in any assets that do not possess a strong story, and traders are currently seeing the glass as half empty relative to the broader markets. The work of managing supply and demand is largely occurring in the cash markets. Let's get a look at the closing commodity numbers. December corn down 10.5 at 666 1/4. Beans November down 14.5 at 14.11 1/4. Wheat Chicago December down 22.5 at 858. Kansas City December down 21 at 929 1/2. And the Minneapolis December wheat, that is down 17.5 at 931 3/4. Live cattle October down 77 at 143.47. Feeder September down 125 at 176.87. And the October lean hogs, they are down 225 at 90.37. For the American Ag Network, I'm Richard Ristvet.
And welcome back to Weather and Ag in Focus. We are joined by YouTube sensation, videographer extraordinaire, storm chaser, Pecos Hank. Check out his YouTube channel. It is absolutely amazing. Got a couple quick questions for you, Hank. Obviously, we're coming up on, slow season. What do you do during the slow season when you're not out chasing?
All the video that we shot, for being on the road from March through June. I've got a pile. I'm doing it right now on the breaks, editing video so that I can get it all done for next March when it starts up again.
Now, I see that picture behind you. That was from Kansas, you said, right? With the 3 tornadoes. That is, wow. Okay.
Yeah.
If we're interested, do you sell any of your still frames, or do you? I hope so, because I want to get some of those.
Yeah. I have pecoshank.com, and you can get them before I inflate the prices with the trend with everybody else.
Right. Awesome. Now, I know I
haven't done it yet.
Right.
I feel like I can't do it, man. I don't want to do it.
Now, I know you're mainly severe weather in terms of tornadoes, severe thunderstorms, and hurricanes. No big deal. How about auroras? If you know there's going to be the northern lights, or do you get into blizzards at all?
Ooh, I mean, for us down here, 55 is pretty brutal cold. So I think that rules out blizzards, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does.
Blizzards are below 55. Yeah.
But most times.
But auroras are a dream of mine. I saw them one time. I was flying over the Bering Strait to Japan, and there was a KP4 minus index that day. Ooh. And it happened. They lit up, and I was able to get some auroras. But I still want to see those crazy straight up shots with the magentas and the whites and all that.
You're
So,
gonna have
okay,
to
we've talked
make
weather.
a trip up here. Oh, go ahead, Bridget. Sorry.
And not just for the weather, Hank. If you're going to make a trip up here, we not only want you to see our weather, especially when we get the northern lights, but maybe you want to bring your band, because I know there's probably a few folks who are like, so what's he do for music? Anything you want to share?
I would love to. I'm making a new album right now, and we're going to have to tour after that, but not during storm season. Music used to be my priority, and then I swapped them. Now storm chasing is my priority. My gigs get the leftovers. But I'd love to see. My mom's from Duluth, Minnesota. That's where she was born. I'm sorry, Two Harbors. She was born in Duluth, but grew up in Two Harbors. And so we go up there a lot, and the birch trees or the gold. We don't have that down here in Texas. So when the trees turn gold and red, I miss that. And collecting agates on Lake Superior, and there's just so much amazing things in Minnesota that I'd like to go back and revisit.
And Hank, what kind of music does your band play? You country, you hard rock? What do you play?
It's like, I guess it's like rockabilly. Elvis. Have you seen the Elvis movie yet, guys?
I have not. I've heard it's awesome, though.
No, not yet.
It's the greatest movie ever made in the world. Just kidding. It's good. But yeah, I love old Elvis. I love old surf music. You know, anything from the 50s and 60s is my favorite, and even the 40s, the gypsy jazz. So we do a lot of retro kind of music, and it's all original. And it has maybe a little bit modern twist, just because instruments nowadays are modern. We have electrified guitars now.
Yeah, we're gonna have to get him. We're gonna have to get him up here during the winter for ice fishing. Maybe his band can come with too.
Ooh.
Boy,
he's thinking about it.
He's like, I'm not sitting on ice. Hank, I got one last question before we. Go ahead.
If you dared me, I'd probably do it.
I'm on Twitter
I'll get a hold of you. Daring you.
I'll get a hold of you over the next few days.
All right.
Hank, have you done any chasing up here in North Dakota or Minnesota in recent years? I know we've had a couple, it's been a little on the quieter side for larger and bigger structures and big tornadoes up here, but I think it was just a few years ago. 2020, I want to say it was the Ashby tornado, the famous drill bit. Were you on that, or have you been up here in any recent years?
So, as you guys know, July that's when the Ashby tornado happened. It's a very sporadic month, and I'm a long way from home by then. I've been a long way from home. So I held out for the Ashby tornado. I knew every year you guys get that crazy, beautiful tornado, either in Iowa, North Dakota, or Minnesota in July, and I was holding out for it. The 2 days before that tornado, I called it a season and drove home. And got home just to see Melanie Metz' Ashby tornado, which might be one of the prettiest things I've ever seen on video before. Unfortunately, we know that there was at least one death, maybe 2 deaths. But as far as a photogenic spectacle, I don't think you can get more photogenic than that.
I completely agree with you. Well, Pecos, from all of us here at Weather, my buddy was out on it chasing it, and I passed up the opportunity because I had to work in a kitchen. So I missed it by just like 3 hours.
Maybe in the next 10 years we'll catch something. Yeah.
Hey, we'll maybe see another one like that in 10 years. Well, Pecos, seriously, from all of us here, we are just ecstatic that you were able to come on here. So thank you very much in spending the last about 40 minutes talking all about storms. For those listening, where can they find you on social media, YouTube? Because I know that you have, and I'll just go out there and say it's some of the best footage on earth of storms.
I really appreciate it, guys. Thank you so much. Yeah, I have a YouTube channel, Pecos Hank, and then a website, Pecos Hank. Pop in, watch some videos, and leave a comment.
And get those pictures before the prices go up.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, well, thanks, Pecos.
I think I'm gonna keep them down a little bit longer.
Awesome.
All right, guys. I appreciate it.
Thank you, Pecos.
Yup, you have a great rest of your day. Oh, we'll have to maybe try and get you on here in December again so we can talk about this mystery that you left us hanging on.
Yeah, this mystery in December.
Yeah, I wish I could talk about it right now so bad. I can't. Wait till you see it.
Cliffhanger.
Oh, well, absolutely can't wait. Well, that's going to do it basically for us here on Weather and Ag in Focus. We didn't really get much of a moment, but that's all right because we had such an amazing guest on with us to talk about the forecast. But Dean will have that coming up here at 2:06 with the Jay Thomas Show in just a few moments. But that will do it for us here on Weather and Ag in Focus this afternoon. We thank you for joining us. If you missed out on our conversation speaking with Pecos Hank, YouTube superstar, you can head over to our website, WDAYradionow.com. Go to our Facebook page, Weather and Ag in Focus, or on Acres TV. You can find that podcast and recording stored in all of those locations. We'll be back tomorrow, 1 to 2 o'clock in the afternoon. Until then, everybody have a great day.
970 WDAY AM and 93.1 FM, Fargo-Moorhead.